Guess what? I am doing my very first Ask Mind Money Balance episode. Over the past couple of months, I've been asking you to submit your questions to me. Today, I've got 2 questions from 2 different audience members, but I'm putting them together because even though the questions at the surface level sound quite different, in my opinion, there's a shared theme of boundaries. So let's get into the first question. Dear Mind Money Balance, fellow biracial Filipino here. I am 25 years old and I've worked as a financial analyst for about 3 years. I struggle with getting past the mental barriers of tackling student loan debt. I grew up in a paycheck-to-paycheck household and I've started the process of unlearning shame and anxiety surrounding money. But I hoard money out of fear. I've struggled to take steps forward in chipping away at my debt as my federal loans are in forbearance, even though I want to pay them. Some of my family members have medical complications, and I'm worried that I wouldn't be able to help out with them, even though I'm still helping out right now, if I were to start prioritizing my loans or myself. I have an emergency fund of well over 6 months, but what are some things that you have seen that have helped people get past these types of mental barriers to start tackling debt? Even though I work in finance, personal finance can be stressful and it feels much more charged and much more loaded with history. Signed, Stressed in Cali. Whew. Well, first, thank you so much for writing in and for being so open and honest about what is going on. What I would first say here to you, Stressed in Cali, is let's acknowledge all of the things that have happened in the past that might have caused you to quote unquote hoard money, to use your words. If you grew up in a household that was paycheck to paycheck, I want you to go back and watch the financial trauma video that might give you some more insight about why you might be holding on tightly to money. And the long and short of it is, when we live in a paycheck to paycheck household, we learn to hold on tightly to money when it comes our way because we're fearful that we don't know when money will come back. Now, that is a past experience, but you've also told me you have a 6-month emergency fund and you are financially helping out others, which signals to me that you are no longer in a paycheck to paycheck cycle. By definition, if you have a 6-month emergency fund, you are not living paycheck to paycheck, right? Paycheck to paycheck means you are waiting for your paycheck to hit so that you can pay the bills that you need to pay, right? I would start with lovingly honoring your past and acknowledging that you're somewhere different. So it might sound like, okay, Stressed in Cali, I know that it makes sense that I would hold on tightly to money when it comes my way because of how I grew up. And I am no longer in a paycheck to paycheck family. And so I can trust myself to be less stressed, or I can trust that the money will keep coming, or I can trust that I have saved up enough to alleviate some of that anxiety. So that's first thing I would do, is honor the past and acknowledge your present. Then when it comes to tackling debt, I don't know why you're in forbearance right now. I don't know if it was a chosen thing or if at the time of this recording, federal student loans are currently on pause and you're just not paying them because they're at 0% and are on pause, which yay! What I heard here is that you want to be paying them, but you're feeling anxious about paying them because you're kind of feeling like, if I pay for my loans, I won't be able to help out my family. Or is it, at least that's kind of what it sounded like. And if that's the case, that's where this loving conversation around boundaries and values comes up. Oftentimes people think about boundaries as being rude or being mean. And the reality is that boundaries are something that we set, and they're also something that we can change. And in particular, if you're coming from an immigrant background, you share that you were mixed Filipina, or even if you're 2nd gen, 3rd gen, there are some stronger messages within certain cultures that it's important to share the wealth, financially speaking. So it might be more common in your family to be sharing money or to be paying for medical expenses, and that's perfectly fine. So before we even decide what boundary you're going to set up with your family, I want you to take a look at how much money is coming in and how much money is going out each month, and whether or not you can afford to be paying for your student loans and paying for the medical bills and medical expenses that you shared that you are currently helping your family with. If the answer is yes, great. Keep doing that as long as that feels good for you. If the answer is no, and you feel like you have to choose either student loans or paying for their medical bills, that is where you have to have a loving but hard conversation about boundaries. And it might sound something like this when you tell your family members that you might have to dial back the amount of financial support you're giving them. Well, I would love nothing more than to support you financially and pay these bills as they come in. It's really important to me right now that I prioritize my student loans. And so I'll be helping out when I'm able able, but I can't commit to helping out on a monthly basis. Or you could say, I can commit to helping out on a monthly basis, but here's the dollar amount that you can expect from me. The nice thing about a boundary is you can always change it. Maybe you get an amazing pay raise, or you get a bonus and you feel compelled and excited to help out your family member in that way. Then you can say, hey, guess what? I got a windfall at work. We're going to pay off those medical bills. That's great too. But it doesn't have to be an either or. And I think that happens a lot when we have competing financial goals. I either pay off debt or I help my family. But it's more likely than not that you can do both. Maybe not at the rate that you want to do, or maybe not in the timeline that you want to do. Maybe you have to focus right now on student loans, and then in a year or 5, you can help out with your family a little bit more. The question that I wanted to revisit was, what are some things that you have seen have helped people get past these types of mental barriers to start tackling debt? Debt is a hard one, and I think it's hard because we have really demonized certain types of debt and we have really evangelized certain types of debt in our country. Meaning, we tell people all the time that a mortgage is good debt, but we tell people all the time that credit card debt is bad debt. And the reality is, we can't know what is good debt or bad debt to somebody else. Some people are super debt averse and they never want to carry debt. That's fine. Some people are very by the numbers. If my debt is 7% or less, it doesn't bother me. If it's 7% or more, then I'm going to focus on paying it off. The reason for that number is that 7% is a very conservative rate of a return on investment if you were to invest in the stock market. And the thinking behind the 7% number is, if you have interest that is less than 7%, financially speaking, from a numbers standpoint, it doesn't make a ton of sense to pay off that particular debt, because you could earn more money in the market if you were to put extra money towards the market versus your debt. So you get to decide what debt feels safe for me to carry, what debt feels really scary for me to carry. Do I judge myself based on the type of debt that I carry? But I want you to really, really practice separating out something that I see happen a lot when people have debt, which is, if I have debt, then I am bad. And the reason that a lot of us go there is that, as I shared, our country does a really good job of demonizing debt and saying things like debt is bad. And we often internalize that as, if I have debt, then I must be bad. And I want to give you full permission to separate those two and say, yeah, I have debt. It's a fact. And what I read here in your letter is that this particular debt is student loan debt, which afforded you the ability to finish up your bachelor's degree, to get a job in finance. So I often think about, how can we practice some gratitude for the debt that we do carry? What did that debt afford us the ability to do? I hope those tips help you out. Best of luck setting those boundaries with your family, and I hope that you're able to prioritize paying off debt and investing in your future. All right, the next question. Dear Mind Money Balance, I sell some goods and services on the side of my full-time income. I have many wonderful friends that offer to commission me for my services. I also have many friends, or even people I don't know, who ask me for my goods for free. While I gift many items to friends out of my own doing, having somebody feel entitled to my work for free is infuriating. Every time I have responded, I've either felt like I didn't put up a firm enough boundary, or on the other side, I feel like I was too mean. How do I confidently respond to someone when this comes up? I don't want to feel responsible for their feelings, but I also don't want my anger to get ahead of me. Signed, Side Hustle Seesaw. Whew, that's like she sells seashells down by the seashore. I could hardly say that. Anyway, great question. Kind of similar to the last letter writer, what I would say is, let's honor and celebrate your work first and foremost. The fact that you do this on the side of your full-time job and on the side of your full-time income tells me that it's either really special to you, really fun for you, or maybe a mix of both. And regardless, let's honor whatever your creative outlet is. It seems to me like there's some elements of creation. I mean, you're being commissioned for your work, so I can just take a guess that that's where we're going, which is awesome. We need creative outlets, and even better if people are willing to pay us for them. And what I heard here is that you sell these things. You don't give these things away. This isn't just like a fun little hobby for you. This is in addition to your full-time job. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused, is they think if a person does something outside of their full-time job, it must be just a hobby. But what I'm hearing in this letter is that this is not just a hobby. This is something that you put in a ton of labor, a ton of effort, and you should be compensated for that. I love that you caught. Some people are willing to commission you for your work and pay you for your work. But let's get real. It is annoying as F when people ask you for discounts or free things just because they know you, which is weird because so often we're told, just ask for a discount. The worst that they can say is no. What I heard here, dear letter reader, the worst thing is not that you say no. The worst thing is that you put a person who is a small business owner in a really precarious situation of having to be an asshole and say, no, I can't give you a discount, or giving you a discount and feeling bad about it and resenting it afterward. So here's what I would say to you of how to answer the question of, can I get this thing for free or can I get this thing for a discount? Write a rule for yourself about who you will give discounts to, how much the discount is worth, and when you give them. This helps to reduce your decision fatigue around giving discounts. Meaning you can either say off the bat, I don't give discounts, or you can say, I offer a standard 5% or 10% family and friends discount. And if they push back, you can remind them that they approached you for this work and they also are showering you in compliments. So you can lovingly say, oh, I'm so glad you love my work and you love what I've created and that you want to support me. What's really cool is that I have a 10% family and friends discount that I would be happy to extend to you. And if they push back on that, you can just repeat it, because sometimes people have a hard time being told no, and you can just say 10% is what I give. If that doesn't work for you, that's cool. Let me connect you with some other artists or some other creators that might have a similar style, right? You can also share the wealth in that way. Another idea that you could do is just like once a year or twice a year, having some sort of friends and family flash sale. So that way, if somebody is asking you for something at a discount, you can say, ooh, I actually don't offer discounts in general, but I will be offering a sale on Memorial Day or on my birthday or on the anniversary of my side hustle. And you can extend a discount to them in that way. And of course, you don't have to offer a discount at all. It is so important to lovingly hold space for the work that you have created, honor it, and charge for it. The thing that's so important is when we are creating work, in particular, when we're creating services, when we're creating art, when we're creating something that is meaningful and special, is that so often in our society, we have kind of been sold this idea that if you love doing something, you should just do it for free. I got this message a ton as a social worker where people say things like, oh, you didn't go into this field because money matters to you. We do this all the time to people in helping and healing fields. Think of teachers, daycare workers, nurses, etc. A lot of those fields are told like, oh, no, you don't deserve to make money. So let me just very, very clearly validate you that you deserve to be paid for the work of the goods or the services that you are providing. And if somebody asks you for a discount and it feels better for you to just say no, you can just say, I actually don't offer discounts. Pause. Pause for 3 seconds. I was recently presenting to educators and I've been told that it's important to pause for 3 seconds. And they actually told me you can pause for up to 20 seconds after saying something that is a complete sentence or if you're trying to elicit feedback. So just hang out there. Say, I actually don't offer discounts, but I'm so glad that you love my work. And then wait and see what happens. And if you get a little fiery, that's okay. To me, that means that it matters to you. It's important to you. The tip that I would give you is come up with some sort of guideline for when you will offer discounts. If you want to offer them at all, hold tight to that so that way you're not flip-flopping and being like, oh, I gave so-and-so a discount of 50%, but last week I gave somebody a discount of 10%. Now this person's asking me for 20% off. I don't know what to do. Just make it standard across the board. And if you want to gift somebody a gift, then give them that gift, but don't feel like you have to include that in your hard and fast rule. I hope that helps you out. And if you want to ask me your question and have me answer it here on my channel, all you have to do is go to mindmoneybalance.com/ask. That's mindmoneybalance.com/ask. You can submit your question and I might answer it right here. I'll see you in the next video.